In 2024, I signed up to do the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, signing up for the 29029 Everesting Challenge in Sun Valley, Idaho. This is an ultra-endurance hiking event in which you attempt to climb the vertical equivalent of Mount Everest, 29,029 feet. But you do it at a ski run in the summer. You hike 2,000 feet up the mountain, and you take the gondola down, and you head right back on up. Sounds fun, huh? Well, you do that 15 times, and you've got 36 hours on the clock to get it done. In my case, I wasn't just trying to finish some race and earn some medal. I was trying to set an example for my 2 college-aged sons to set big goals and to lean into doing hard things. Little did I know how many lessons I'd be learning in the process. After being maniacally focused on the training plan for over 7 months, I thought that since I showed up to the start line feeling healthy and strong, all I had to do was put in the work and climb. I would summit strong. Well, what I thought was going to be linear, just going straight up a mountain over and over again, wasn't the case. Change was coming at me from every direction. Wild weather fluctuations, dust scorching my throat, GI issues, and then 80% of the way through this event, I suffered a strained hamstring on a steep pitch called the wall. This was after 28 hours of nonstop hiking. I had 3 more summits to go. It brought me to a screeching halt, wondering if I could even take one more step. But I should have expected this. Because as a leadership consultant, I have been part of a team that's been doing research that found that we're living in an everything, everywhere, all at once world. And just as my climb became more than simply going up a mountain over and over again, we found in our studies that the traditional concepts of point A to point B transformation no longer work. And the models that we've been taught about managing change, which are all about like going from this period of stability to this brief period of instability and then to some new form of stability, just don't hold up anymore. Leaders we spoke to across a wide range of industries all told us that change now happens in overlapping, highly unpredictable waves. One leader even said it feels like, with the emergence of AI, that we're ushering in some new era, a new pace of change that's unlike anything human beings have ever seen before. It feels like what might happen is always evolving. Became really clear to us in our research that there's just no going back to a new normal. And if we simply wait for all that dust to settle, we're going to be buried in all that dust. I mean, think about all the change you've probably experienced just this year. Being bombarded with a news cycle that shifts hourly, if not more frequently, and divisiveness in our country and in our communities. And then the promise and peril of AI changing everything we've ever known. I mean, hands up here. Who feels like they actually have no idea what steady state they're moving towards these days? Hands up. Yeah, like most of those, it was like 73% of the hands went up, I think. Right? It's time to admit that constant chaos is the new norm, and we can't stop the storm. But if the very nature of change has changed, and therefore these old models of managing change no longer apply, then what do we do? Well, instead of asking, what new steady state am I moving towards, and when will it all settle? Ask, why is it important for me to move through this? I mean, back to the mountain. When I strained my hamstring, combined with the dust caking my tongue and my lips, cracking from sunburn and my stomach just flipping and flopping all over the place, I could have just succumbed to all that incredibly overwhelming and discouraging stimuli. But there is something we know to be true, and Chuck and Sonoma spoke about this, is that there is a tiny space in between taking in information and responding. And I knew if I wanted to lead myself forward, I had to stay really centered in that tiny space of choice. I had to find power in my purpose to propel me forward. I mentioned I took on this challenge because I wanted to set an example for my sons. But there is more to this story. My own father died when he was just about the age that I am now. And that was after a long, drawn-out illness. One we just assumed must be hereditary. So I wanted to prove to my boys that the men in the Spence family could live strong and boldly well into life. So standing at the base of that incredibly steep mountain for the 13th time with 3 more summits to go, this became my beacon, my purpose, my reason for pushing forward in a proverbial dust storm of change. So whether you are a student preparing for careers that may not exist by the time you graduate, or haven't been invented yet, or a parent just trying to juggle remote work and keep up with the price of eggs, or a leader managing the flip-flop between having to lay people off one minute and hire for innovation the next, or a retiree just trying to figure out who you are in this next stage of life in this crazy, mixed-up world. It all comes down to purpose. In a world where change is no longer episodic but constant, you got to get really clear on why you move, not whether you move. And as you start to think about your own why, I'd love to leave you with 3 mindset shifts to consider. Number 1, when everything is shifting, notice what anchors you. In the swirl of noise, the most important signals, they're often quiet. These are the values that steady us, even if only briefly. Pay attention to what keeps resurfacing for you. In my case, wanting to be an example for my sons, it gave me the strength on that mountain to continue onward and upward. Number 2, ask who you're becoming through the change, not just what you're trying to run away from. Purpose reveals itself in the qualities that are being formed within us, things like empathy and courage and resilience, not the circumstances we're trying to escape. For the new college graduate who's facing a really challenging job market right now, or for the recent empty nester who is coping with letting go and just trusting that they will be okay, ask who you can become through this change. And number 3, keep remembering that you have agency. When your why is larger than the setback in front of you, it fills that tiny space between stimulus and response with a powerful, positive option. On Bald Mountain, when my hamstring was screaming at me and every fiber of my body was telling me to just quit, my reason for persevering filled that tiny space of choice and literally pulled me up that mountain. And I got to that summit 15 times, hiking the vertical equivalent of Mount Everest with 2 hours left on the clock. So for all of you, imagine the energy we would save if we stopped trying to manage change as if it were this unexpected chaos. Imagine how change would feel if we had the clarity of purpose to move through it with conviction. Because change, it's not going anywhere. Change isn't in the air, it is the air, and we get to decide why we move through it. So for whatever mountain you are facing, find power in your purpose to get you to your summit. Thank you.